pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I call this meeting to order. And I'd like to start with a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from June 12th. Cindy, second? Okay. Rebecca, any comments, questions, or corrections? I think there was a slight correction, and it was replacing a word in the wastewater treatment. Oh, instead of thank, it's tank, right? Makes a difference. Okay, if there are no further comments, corrections, or questions, all in favor of accepting the minutes with that minor correction, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. At this point, we'll open it up for public comment.
Peter Doyle,
Who are you?
Say your name.
Who are you?
Shorty Hoffman.
Shorty Hoffman, yes.
I still think the best option for that is a park for the people to enjoy.
Okay, it's noted. Thank you. Any other?
And if we can make it a veterans park, it would even make it that much more important.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions or statements from the public? Hearing none, we'll close that and go on to the report from DPW. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, and let me share that.
I need a coffee.
I didn't even have a chance to nap in my chair today. I had to run the well and because I was making out of the rush.
Okay.
Okay, this month, garbage and recyclables, we painted the lines at the clerk's office and the parking beach, or the beach parking lot. Mowed and weeded, put out the old benches. We're gonna start staking down the new benches tomorrow. We put in the dock, we've done a few ditches, not a lot. We installed the toilets at the beach, trucked in mulch for the point, right to the dirt section of Elm Lake Road, fixed a few damaged signs that got bent over by the plow, and we're gonna open the beach Thursday. Next month, pretty much garbage and recyclables, mowing and weeding. We're gonna haul clay in for the ball field, pave the road cuts that we have, clean the pavilion weekly, which should have been up to the top too, but we do that. Work on the roads that I plan on paving. We break dirt section of Lake Road every once in a while. The branches are getting really bad in some of the roads where we got the new growth, so we're going to start trimming them back. Work on the shoulders at Elm Lake Road. Plant some trees or shrubs or something at the firehouse, and then continue cleaning ditches.
I can't hear anything.
I'm back on. Sorry.
Okay, that sounds better.
And weekly. And then with my chips is the same as we're getting two roads ready to pave. Pollinating 4 if we need it. Order some culverts, which I don't think we need this year. Still working on getting the trucks and paving those road cuts.
Can I ask you a question about the dirt section of Elm Lake Road? Can you tell me what that means? Like when you
Well, when you go down Elm Lake Road,
Yeah.
you'll get to a point where the dirt or the pavement stops, and then we
Yes.
own, I think, 3 or 4 miles all the way into the outhouse corners. So
Okay.
we maintain that, break it, change culverts.
So that has to be raked, like, is it because of the water or that has to be?
Water, traffic.
Okay.
I mean, if there's a lot of traffic, it gets washboardy.
Okay,
So just once in a while we go in there,
Yeah.
just try to smooth it out as best we can. We don't make it perfect, of
Yeah.
course, because there's bumps, but we try to keep it as
I'm
good as
just
we
curious
can.
about how far we had to go on that and what that meant.
Yeah, I think it is 4 miles because
Yes.
with
Oh.
FEMA, a lot of it was washed out with culverts. It
It's
was
something,
pretty
it's like
bad.
3.5 or 4.
Yeah, somewhere in between then, but it's a pretty far way down there.
And we had a little bit of a issue today. One of our toilets we're putting in down at the bathhouse broke as he was setting it down and leaked on his finger pretty bad. I mean, we just wrapped it up. He didn't have stitches or anything, but we had to run to the power drag another toilet.
Okay,
So when you see that, you'll wonder why we.
yeah, I thought that the toilets had been put in,
Well, 2 of them were, one was leaking, so we had to take one out. That they couldn't get the one to stop leaking. I guess they must have, when Josh and them did it, must have squished the ring.
okay,
So we had to put a new ring on it, and when he went to set it back down, it slipped through. I don't know, he just said it broke. So I don't know,
The leaky one though, or the other one?
the leaky. But they're all 3 brand new. I mean,
yeah.
now I don't know if it slipped and hit something. He didn't really say, he just said it was, as he was sitting down, it broke in his hand, so.
So, well, if the integrity of the toilet was bad to begin with, I would check.
Well,
I would make sure,
And see if I can get my money back, but
yeah,
I've had them for quite a while because we bought them over
well, there
last
should,
summer.
there should be, no, it had to be after last summer.
Well, I remember we bought them all for the firehouse and the bathhouse, and the firehouse and everything we did, but.
Well, if it's a matter of just touching, lightly touching the floor, I mean, those have to have some sort of
I
integrity
don't
to
know
it.
for a fact what the deal was. I mean, they put it down once and it didn't work, and they tried, I don't know. I mean,
Well,
maybe they tightened it too tight, trying to get it to stop
let's-
leaking, or.
Yeah,
I'll
I mean,
find out.
because I can't imagine tightening it would make it crack and break off in Lee's hand.
I wouldn't think so, but like I said, I'll talk to the guys, find out for sure, because Josh and them weren't there, they're on the garbage truck, so I didn't get a chance to ask them about it.
And has a medical report been put in for Lee?
Not yet, no.
Make sure that that's done.
Tomorrow morning.
Yes.
The bathroom floors, we got the additive for the paint, but being they're gonna be high traffic this weekend, you think we should wait till after the weekend?
No,
Okay, because
No.
I mean, it's not gonna,
it's
only
got,
has a
it's,
couple of days to dry and it's been rainy, so I don't know how hard it's gonna get. So.
well, you said it, well,
I-
it says it should be able to be dry within 12 to 24 hours.
That says that, yes, but then it says something about.
So at least let's get started.
humidity
Don't,
and dampness, so-
it's always gonna be, there's always gonna be
Well, we'll
something.
definitely do one tomorrow morning, and we'll just see how long it takes to dry, and then if it dries really quick,
Fans or heaters or something? No?
I don't know. I don't know if there's outlets in all of them. There might be, I know there is though.
Well, see if a fan can be put in. So do yeah, do one of them first and see if we can run a line in
Maybe
there.
one of the small ones, see how fast it dries. And,
Yes.
They make a chemical dryer and add the paint that would dry within an hour.
well, we're adding the additive to it that makes it dry faster and makes it harder, so.
Yeah.
So we're adding the additive to it, so we're just have to see. how
We
much
used to
they-
paint the island
Alright.
with gas pumps
Okay,
and walk on it 15 minutes later.
okay. Thanks, Shorty. You can talk to Roger afterwards. Yes, thank you. Okay, you had said that there was an issue with the water fountain down there. Have you determined what that is?
They put that up and it's working. It
Okay,
does have a small crack in it, but that crack's, when I went and looked at it, that crack's been there for a long time, so it's not nothing that's.
is there some way that we can reinforce it or put a patch on it?
I think we should order one of the steel ones like they put at the.
Well, let's get some prices.
I don't know.
Let's get some prices on that and keep an eye on it. The potholes on Downey Ave, are those going to be?
I have to get Paul back, but I called Randy and he said I could steal some from him until I get mine, so we'll try to get to them
Okay,
this week.
okay, sooner the better. The tree, the bids for taking down the pine trees in the cemetery,
He said he was gonna send it to me by Friday, and I haven't got it. That was last Friday, I haven't got it yet.
and we gotten in touch with the guy from, Gary, is it Gary Buer?
Yeah, I spoke to him on Saturday. Elkin was there on Saturday
Yep.
doing the bids for the trees.
Okay,
He stopped there and he actually was going to go back because he didn't want to disrupt Elkin.
okay,
So I told him just to send the bid in for the second tree, just divide them up if that's more or less. For the
Okay.
2 trees, it was 3,000. For the one in the middle, it's going to be more. He's talking about getting a crane in so it
Okay.
doesn't disturb the headstones.
okay,
So we should have something by the end of next week from him. And I
Okay.
did also talk to the picnic tables, got lost. They got to Gloversville, but then disappeared. I spoke to the company today, and if they show up, fine. If not, they're gonna. She's putting an order together to send us another 10 tables.
and when would those arrive?
She didn't know yet. It's based on if they're manufactured or not. So hopefully, either the other ones show up. You know, she said sometimes that happens. So we'll just stay in touch with her, and there's no cost for the additional tables if they're
Yeah.
completely lost.
Yeah, I would hope not. Okay, the 4th of July preparations?
Everything's going fairly well. We're gonna start putting up the benches tomorrow, the new benches.
Okay.
We only have 7 built.
And you know where they're going?
I'm gonna have to talk to Crystal about the ones on the point, but I think
Okay.
all the other ones are still flagged as far as I know.
No, flags were, did you put new flags out?
No.
No, Lee had said that the flags had been removed.
At the point in the funny park. But I think the ones by the tower are still there, but I'll find out. They might not be.
Okay, so if you can arrange with Crystal, I'm happy to go with you as well. The barriers for
We're
the,
gonna bring them down Wednesday.
okay,
We get them all, we'll get them put together, way to the side, and
okay, and someone will be able to put them out Saturday morning?
Yep.
Okay, and,
It was actually nice that when we did it Friday night, somebody did it Friday night last year.
oh,
And then Tracy and I just went and put,
The signs.
up on them.
Yeah. okay, if we can do that at the end of near the end of the shift, if they can,
Because then, no one, it's like.
there was
that.
no question. Right. So this year we have to be more proactive in trying to pick up the debris from the fireworks, depending on which way the wind blows. If it blows into the water, it'll come into shore, a little bit easier to clean up. But last year it was strewn not only over the park, but on the other side. So we really need to make sure that we can pick that up. And I mean, just the other day I found some. Keeps the gift that keeps on giving. Was there anything else that you had mentioned, Rebecca?
We had talked about the potholes.
Yep.
The paving.
Oh, so the paving, was there an opportunity to pave Downey? What's the timeline with Downey? Because I know we can only pave every 10 years.
I was going to pave Downey Avenue from the Route 30 up to where we left off, just past the Camp of the Woods building,
Okay,
the garage.
right.
And I would like to pave Elm Lake Road from the corners over to Miletes where we started from last year.
Okay, so we'll do that in the fall.
I'm trying to do, I got to come up to the yard and make sure I can fit both of them in. If I can't fit both, I'll probably do Downey first because that one's a little bit worse shape.
Right.
And it gets a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Roger has a schedule that he should check with based on the, I think there was one other that he needs to do.
Well, Wilbur's the other one that's 10 years or over, but that's in good shape. I check that out every day.
Okay, yeah, but he should look at the list.
Yeah.
because
I
this
will.
years they were done.
He
Double,
said it was the first section of Elm Lake Road, right, from the corner to.
Four
corners,
Yeah.
4 corners up to Miletes. That's almost to Oak Mountain Drive. Okay. Yeah, if we can check that, because
Those are the two I'm planning on doing, but I just gotta have John Scones come up and measure them out and give me an estimate, so I know how much they're gonna cost.
due to the grinder issues with the pavilion bathroom for 4th of July, that should be closed.
Okay,
Only the pavilion bathroom with an out of order sign, because with too many people, it overflows and there are a lot of issues with that. So with that said, there are 3 bathrooms that will be open for July 4th weekend for the carnival. Two at the bathhouse, or are there 3 at the bathhouse? Never been in it.
There's 2 bathrooms, but there's
Right, so
a urinal and a toilet and then 2 toilets later, so there's 4
could be, right.
stalls.
So there are additional bathhouse that they should be able to use before the fireworks, because that's not cordoned off. So they should be able to use that. And then the 4th of July committee, the blockade, they have to stay off of the beach, but I think they should be able to use the bathhouse and then get out again.
So instead of putting them on the outside of the bathhouse, I have to put them on the inside.
What do you mean?
The barriers. We usually put them on the outside of the bathhouse. So.
You know, let's put them on the outside of the bathhouse, because right now there will be 5 bathrooms. 5 bathrooms without the bathhouse.
Okay.
So there's 3 at the firehouse and 2 porta-johns. So that'll be more than what we had last year. And then if there's overflow or you know, an added need, we can send them across the way.
Right.
Well, this year the beach is open at 5.
The beach is open until 5, right? And then the parade is at 7, and then that's usually when they need it, between 5 and 8, 5 and 9, right?
If you want to leave the barriers to the bathhouse, I can move them after the parade, before the fireworks, and put them at the road.
There might be a lot of people there after the parade.
Yeah, better that we don't move them,
All day.
because they start, any opportunity people have to put their chairs out there, they'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
we'll leave it, and then we can
I'm
cross
sure
the,
people can slip by and go to the bathroom
Yeah.
anyway. It's not good.
right, it's the tables that we have the issues with. Okay, anything else?
I'm thinking that we need to come up with a method about these clippings, because as I came.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to.
Just get something that looks decent, they can put it in, and then you can have your regular schedule.
Yeah, that
So
would
like, if
work.
they can, it doesn't, but the what's the coordination between the garden club and your guys? If we just had something.
And then if they have a business, then the bid could be down, even over in the Brushville away, we can go down to a tractor and up, and it doesn't have to be up by the road.
There's like a rain barrel, you know, that kind of thing, a rain barrel that says, you know, cuttings only, or,
I have to give Heidi a call,
Yeah,
discuss whether she what she thinks.
Because it's usually just, it's a tile, but and it looks messy,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
not tremendous.
right,
And I think if that was even in a container so that people aren't going by anyway.
Yeah.
Why did they pick up
yeah. No, that'll be,
And then sometimes,
the spot?
and sometimes it gets there, and by the time we get down to pick it up, there's cars parked there, so we can't get it, we have to wait till another time.
And if you get down to 2 and they leave at 3.
Yeah.
2:30.
yes, 2:30.
You're telling me you're driving around still at 2 picking up quick clippings?
At 2:20, maybe. So if you can arrange that with Heidi for that. And then it was pointed out that is it the lady slipper, which is an endangered plant. There are 1 or 2 plants that were noticed on the north side of the fire hall. So when someone goes in there to weed eat, you have to be careful around that little plant. It's very pretty. Huh?
I didn't know.
Yeah. It's an endangered, and there are fines if you get caught destroying it. So, okay. Any other?
I have one more thing.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Pump-out lights.
Yes.
I tried calling Blue Line, I didn't get an answer, and Fulton County gave me an estimate, so I don't know if you want to go with them or if I want to keep track of
No,
that.
we have to hold on that. So, we are going to speak about the clean energy initiative. So from your perspective, I'll put it in perspective now. So the quote that we have so far, I'll give a rough estimate, is under $5,000 to fix it. So we don't have $5,000 in our budget to spend on decorative lights to turn them into LEDs. So it requires rewiring, new ballasts, on and off switches, new sensors, the whole business. So it's quite an endeavor to do. So I did reach out to Nancy Bernstein, and with ANCA, and NYSERDA has a grant program for clean towns and villages that if you do 4 projects that meet the requirements for clean energy, you file and you would get a grant, pretty straightforward, for $5,000. And so you would say what the grant would be used for, and then they would give it to you, and then whatever is extra from your project versus the $5,000 can be put into purchasing more LEDs or ballasts or, something like that. So in speaking with her, we're going to talk about energy benchmarking, which Crystal already does, so might as well get credit for that. We've converted all of our buildings to LEDs, and we have converted the street lights to LED, and we have the unified solar permit that has been submitted to NYSERDA as well. So those are the 4 things. In the timing of that grant, it would take approximately 2 weeks to submit it, the act of submission, 2 weeks for them to review it, and then 2 weeks for them to send it. So in theory, if everything would go well, we could have that done, by the middle of August. Or if we get the promissory note that yes, it's coming, we can do it a little bit sooner, knowing that we would get
guaranteed the grant.
That's what I asked Nancy, and she said, 99.5% guaranteed. So, and they're reviewing our unified solar permit. So what we have to do is we have to take their template and we put it into our format. So I did that. I removed their pretty blue banners and things like that. And so Nancy said they sent it in, and she doesn't know whether they'll accept it without the blue banners or not. And I'm like, please, I have every single section of that permit, and I've double checked it with the code enforcement officer. There's no reason why they should be rejecting it. But anyway, so we should know that soon enough. They're pretty fast with reviewing that. So the only thing that might be a holdup is if they said, no, we don't like your unified solar permit format, then we'll tweak it a little bit. So, but I think everything should go in, because the other things are noted and registered. So a little bit of a hold on the streetlights, but we'll get them done, and then that'll count towards another project that we have, and maybe we can work towards $10,000. So, thank you, Roger.
Roger, can you look at the sign and the 3 lights? It's really jacking up our electric.
I looked at, all of them have 2.
Yeah, all of them have 2.
So I don't know
Okay.
Well, they must be just estimated.
Nope, then let me go back and update you with the National Grid, since it pertains to, so we are now for the record, we are in our 16th week of waiting for National Grid to come back with a solution. So what they found in my initial communication with them is that we have 3 street signs, welcome signs. 2 of them have meters, and 1 from the very beginning since 1970, I think we've had those signs. Doesn't have a meter, they're estimating it. And when they went back to look at the estimation, because the cost of that meter is at least twice as high as any of the other 2 signs. So the other 2 signs are within $1 of each other,
Right.
and the unmetered one is 2 times, if not more. So what they said is, in looking back, they estimated incorrectly, you think, for the meter. So instead of estimating the usage of 2 75-watt bulbs, or 150 watts, they estimated 150 watt hours. So hours is much longer and more costly than using a bulb. Yes, so they were shocked, and that they were going to bring it up the chain of command. So the first fellow that I was dealing with, he was out for personal reasons or whatever. I pushed it up the chain, and I got another guy who's not as consistent either. but every week I send him a note saying we are in week 12, 13, 14, 15. Now we're in week 16. His last comment to me was that these things take time because this doesn't happen very often. It's a very unique situation. They're trying to find a way to do it. And so my last recommendation to him as an outsider, non-national grid, was that we put a meter on that welcome sign, or we take the estimate of the other 2 welcome signs, which are exactly the same, and then you reimburse us. And we keep, for the last 16 weeks, we keep paying the bill, and they still keep us on the hook. So tomorrow I will send.
16 weeks, we've done it for how many years?
Yeah, well, for how many years? Correct. But they haven't even, stopped payment on it. Like, let's not charge the village ever again and leave the lights on, for the next 30 years. So it's very, very frustrating. So I will send him a note again and ask to speak to a supervisor, because it does not take this long to do something so inconsequential to them. And it's the principle of the thing.
That's a lot of money throughout.
It is. It's thousands of dollars over the years. Yeah. So it's anywhere between $20 and $40 a month. And that's today's prices. So who knows what they were before. But anyway. All right. Any other comments? Oh, and we'll have for the pickup on Saturday and Sunday. So someone will be there in the evening.
Every Sunday morning without having to come in both mornings.
Well, we'll probably have to have someone come in Saturday
Or Saturday
evening.
night.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I will do that.
Okay. So after Carnival, because that.
I'm thinking that's when I usually always do that Saturday night.
Good. Okay. All right. Thank you, Roger.
Yep.
All right. So
Thank you.
stop sharing.
Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Good night.
All right. Clerk Treasurer's report. I would like to note that my agenda did correctly note that Roger is the DPW supervisor. We'll see if we can get it right for next month.
You have supervisor there instead of superintendent though.
Oh, good. Let me fix that. He's been promoted.
Minor technicality. All right, so the new annual financial report, which is called the AFR, has been set up and started. The AFR is replacing the AUD, which is our yearly financial report to OSC. The date that needs to be filed by stays the same. So
End of July.
end of July. I'll be out of the office from July 9th to the 15th for clerk school in Albany, and then also in the morning the week after for the London. And then
That's September.
no, July.
July. Oh. And then there's the other school. Okay.
Fall training.
Fall training. Okay.
So we need to renew our Barracuda email protection. That's the cloud service for our emails, as well as it's like basically a vault for our emails. And it's a way for us to store them not locally, so it's not taking up a lot of email storage and stuff like that. So we have the regular one, our regular service, yearly renewal, or there's a new option. The new option is $1,000 more, but there are added benefits to the license, the yearly license, including increased email security and cloud storage. I did ask Brian from ABS if he could give me a couple of items just to tell you why it would be a good idea to switch that. He said the protection, the the new Barracuda that includes the protection that's more expensive, includes Centennial Impersonation Protection, which is like AI that learns your environment and detects unusual behavior, and security standard security generally misses. So it's just like an extra protection, just, you know, monitor normal behavior and if there's something abnormal. Includes more cloud backup storage. So it's unlimited backup for your Office 365 environment over their, you know, the standard 30 days. Includes forensic and incident response. For when incidents do occur, these tools help track, investigate, and remediate. It also includes some higher level back-end components we can configure, like DKIM and DMARC. Not know what those are.
What are they called again?
DKIM and DMARC. We have to get a better description on those.
And that's for that's for
that's additional
security?
layers of security for the.
I have some family in
Sure.
cybersecurity. I'll ask them as well.
He also wrote that ADS would recommend the upgrade as we find a lot of value in the impersonation protection and cloud backup features. And then just to let us know if they have any other questions, we do have to renew this by July 17th. That's when our subscription is up. So.
And what is our alternative to this?
So our alternative is the normal, is the Barracuda Essential Compliance subscription license that we've been doing. That one is a total of $696 for the renewal.
And this one is $16.96.
This one is $17.28. So I said about.
Okay, so $696
$696 for just for our regular renewal.
and
if we decide to switch to the better protected one, that one will be $1,728.
I know our budget is extremely tight. Do you have a place where monies could come from?
Well, yes.
Can we raise
We could.
taxes? No,
No.
only kidding. Only kidding. Only kidding.
But are we meeting our cloud storage? Have we been coming close? Has this been a problem for us?
Well, with cloud archiving, this is unlimited storage for the cloud service.
I understand that, but my question is,
I mean,
have we been meeting our cloud storage? Are we close to it? Or are we pretty good? And maybe we don't need unlimited.
Yeah, I don't think it would be so much the unlimited storage, the cloud storage. I think more of the other protection measures that we can take for. I mean, you see, there's a lot of villages that are being hacked and all of that kind of stuff.
And then held for ransom.
Yeah, so not just villages, the cities and towns and all of that. We're, you know,
Yeah,
lucky.
it's a nightmare.
All of that stuff, and it is a nightmare. And so some other little security precautions never hurt, I don't think.
But it's a separate company, right?
No,
The same company.
No, it's the same company. It's just an upgrade to what we currently have.
Okay, so rather than making the basic more protected for towns and villages, you're saying they're asking for an increase. Like if you want more protection,
So
we're
there's
not in competition with somebody
no.
else.
They're different.
It's just like,
They're different levels of protection.
like this level right here, and this is like a step ahead above that.
They're
As far as, you know, like what we have the basic package, this is another package that they're offering now with better security and all that, so,
I guess my point is they don't have any motivation to give better security at the current A level.
No.
Instead, they're opting, I just said, you want the security, you pay more.
Sure.
So are there
Particularly notice the
right? Are there any other companies that they use? Any other alternative? Yeah, just because that is a huge jump
I don't
and
think there's any way to negotiate.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't think so.
how long more do you think this one? Okay.
With ABS, 4 years.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years.
So they've been good to us. I've been to,
Well, they also did take, when we first started this, they took an entire day and they came up and they helped us rewire things, which was, they did not charge us for.
Yep.
So, that was a big,
yeah. And in addition to that, the things that they have offered and suggested, I've been to some of the cybersecurity sessions through NICOM and listening to that. And actually the village is pretty well protected compared to other villages. And so.
But as things get
More and more,
there's more, there's more and more people trying to invade.
Yeah, well, the AI,
Exactly.
the AI impersonation is just getting
So I feel like
Right.
worse and worse.
we need the protection if we're gonna keep our
Absolutely.
from outside of our little village in places that you're concerned about.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over, No, but I would think maybe some villages or cities are more vulnerable.
No,
I'm sure because of-
smaller ones, bigger ones.
Our emails are out there. Our information is out there. Any little thing that is on the internet is easily taken and can be.
Right. And villages are compromised regardless of size through their, it sounds silly, but through their printers, through their cameras, things that, we don't even think about upgrading. ABS has been on the ball and keeping those upgraded.
In our school district.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, and it's a nightmare. It really is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I would like to understand, and this would go to your point, Rebecca,
The village school district.
do we,
The former school.
yeah, former in Connecticut, do they have incident, a level of, how,
Frequency.
yeah, have we been, have there been, potential attacks or, right? Because I know with my own business website, he gives me an update of, that sort of security breaches. But I do have to say, I haven't seen any spam email coming through, which is really remarkable.
Yeah.
So, the
Yeah.
filters are working. And we'll see where our finance committee can see where we can find.
$1,000.
Yeah, under a rock.
Okay, I will ask him about those.
Okay, thank you.
And then just, approval of financial report and we'll have.
Okay, so this is abstract number 2 and financial report number 1.
No, financial report. It's for the end of the year.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so may I have a motion to approve abstract number 2?
Mark,
Okay, second? Cindy? Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Financial report number 12, may I have a motion to approve that?
Mark,
Rebecca and Mark. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries to approve the financial report. Crystal, thank you very much. You're doing a great job there. Going on to old business, septic systems and erosion regulation updates. So let me call that up. We should have, where am I? Sorry, I have lost my way here. Oh, there it is, septic. Okay. All right. Okay. So I would, Jim, okay, so Jim Rumsey is entering the building. Hello, Jim.
Welcome.
Okay, so Mark and I have been working with our attorneys. We're talking about the septic law now. Yeah, oh, Jim, do you want to use that one? Okay. So with the property, so what this is at the present state is It is a regulation providing for the inspection and replacement of on-site wastewater treatment systems at the time of property transfer. So what this does is this regulation would deal with all properties that are within 250 feet of Lake Pleasant, Whitaker Lake, and Louis Lake, so our main bodies of water. The law would also require a seeker review, SEQRA review, as far as the impact on the environment, but this should not be a problem with that regard. So I just wanted to go through some of the highlights. I know that there were questions about inspections of septic systems that are in use and remain in use. And so, Mark, did Mark disappear? Did Mark drop off?
No, he's there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, he's standing up.
Okay. Oh, there. So, Mark, if you would like to comment on the rollout of this, because I know our first step was to do new property transfers, and then the next step would be to include existing properties to get into a habit of inspecting them on a regular basis based on the age.
Yeah, that's correct. So this is phase one of this. Not many properties along South Shore get transferred to a new owner. So the second part would take all houses that are not on the wastewater system to have their septic inspected every 3 to 5 years, depending on what we agree to. But this just gives us the authority to make sure when a property is transferred that the septic is inspected and make sure that it meets state and local regulations.
Correct. So we had been asked by our attorneys to wait to put this forward to see if there were going to be legal challenges from other villages or towns that have put this forward. So Lake George had put it in, as well as Queensbury, and they've had no legal issues with the inspections. So
they also have gone forward with inspecting all property owners within 500 feet of their lakes, which we will duplicate in law, just like this one, which we kind of duplicated from Lake George and Queensbury.
Correct. So, so I think a question before the board now is, do you have any comments or questions about the existing law? And then a follow-up question would be, when is good timing to start introducing the second part of this law? So the first part, the compliance, if you look at section 3, applicability, the law shall apply to conveyances of real property located partially or wholly within 250 feet of the mean high water mark of Lake Pleasant, Louis Lake, and Whitaker Lake. There was talk before about having like zones that would tie into water, and if they were, on rivers and things like that, and that was getting very complex. That would rework our zoning law. So if we do it around the large bodies of water, it should be fine. And these are property transfer inspections. As we go through, the code enforcement officer or a designated agent would acknowledge the satisfactory compliance with this local law. If you don't have that, then the property cannot be conveyed. So this ordinance in and of itself would have to be widely circulated to lawyers, realtors, that sort of thing, to make sure that people are aware of that. And it's pretty straightforward. Those who can inspect it are those who are certified to do so, and anyone that the building code enforcement officer would deem appropriate. In addition, Lenny Crute from the County Soil and Water, Hamilton County Soil and Water, is certified to do those inspections. I have reached out to the county as far as whether they would permit that. Of course, we would, part of the permit would be reimbursing him for his time. And we've assured him that the number of properties that are being turned over that meet these requirements are pretty minimal. So the draw on his time, even if he inspected every single one, would, not be overwhelming. I did want to point out Section D. Section D is failure of the inspection. So if you fail this inspection, or when a property is exchanged without being set forth, I'm trying to remember why this was highlighted. Failure of existing. Okay, so this highlights when a system fails. So what are those things that constitute a failure? It's lack of a pre-treatment vessel. There's discharge and ground surface water that is in the soil area and goes into the water. Direct discharge of gray water into the lake. Use of dye tests. So what they do is they inject dye into the system, and if it shows up on the surface, you have a bad system. Backup of sewer. Presence of a metal septic tank that is undersized or corroded, which I think is a problem with many of the systems. A cesspool, which are still in use. And then holding tank discharges to surrounding subsurface areas. And then no septic tank or seepage pit. At the very end, whoops, did I miss the very end? Okay, notice of violation, penalties, and offenses. This is according to the type of law this is. So in the event that the property owner in its capacity as grantor was issued a notice of violation, it'd be a violation of the law and subject to enforcement procedures. And then it would be subject to a fine of $350 or imprisonment for a period not to exceed 6 months, or both, depending on what goes on. So these fines are consistent with the type of law that it is. Not that I think in my heart of hearts I would hate to see anyone go to prison for 6 months because they, tried to get away with a bad septic system, but it's there for the type of law this is. Any questions or comments on this particular draft?
I don't have comments on this draft, but I do think we need to address
the next step.
I don't know why we're not just doing both at the same time.
Well, it's been told to us that it's better to roll them out instead of doing everything at once, just to get.
Because this isn't going to protect our lake. We have very few people that are going to exchange property, probably in the next year. And the weeds, the problems in the lake are more apt to be caused by these, since it hasn't been inspected on, whether it's the backside of the lake or up at Whitaker, or you mentioned Louis Lake.
Yes.
Well, I'm not as familiar with those properties up there, but our lakes are so valuable.
Yes. Yeah.
So when are we thinking that we would go to phase 2?
Well, I would like to start working on it within 6 months, introduce a law within 6 months. That would be my thought.
We already have something written, but we're going to now follow Lake George and Queensberry's law and just adjust it to, our terminology. So it shouldn't take that long.
Have they started phase 2, Mark?
No, we did phase 2 originally, but we decided to split this in
I don't know. With Queensberry and Lake George, have they started doing inspections of existing systems?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
they did
how
this
long
for-
did that take between the two? How much of a time lapse?
Between the two laws. between the transfer of property and checking out existing properties.
I don't know how long it took them to come up with the laws, but they just, I'm not, Lake George started in May doing the inspections. I'm not sure about Queensbury.
So
it
it's
took them
about
a long
9 months
time.
to a year. So I think we can move faster than 9 months to a year, but I think if we give people a heads up that it's coming. So I think from what I understand from colleagues of mine who are in Canada, I think I've mentioned this before, Lac Gilbert in Quebec, they were instituting a comparable sort of inspection system. So the thing is, does everyone get inspected at once? That causes quite some issues because there are so many properties that would have to be inspected at a certain time. So what is the appropriate way to roll that out? Is it by house number? Is it by section, by age of the property or something like that? And what can we do from a legal parameter? So there are a few questions that we have to answer. The other thing that, perhaps we need to consider as well is if properties get inspected and they have to be emptied by, what is that called? A honey truck or?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the honey trap.
I think that's a misnomer. But with the honey truck, is that something that perhaps we can coordinate, get a better deal, make it more cost effective for our residents, and then charge it on their taxes, as a tax, so that way it would ensure that it gets done rather than leaving it to people's devices and not being able to schedule and follow up. So I don't have a septic system, so you have a septic system. I think that your experience and your insights from you and your neighbors would be important.
The second question would be, do everyone that's not on the wastewater system? So it wouldn't be within 250 feet of the lakes. It would be everyone that is not on the village wastewater system.
Well, that's another very good question to ask. So
Yeah, and I think on our particular side of the lake, because of past history, they just put the septics right in front on the lake side for most of the property. And they've been allowed to go for years and years and years with no inspection, no update. I mean, people would have the freedom to show they've already updated.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't need an inspection.
well, I think
Those who've had none,
right.
if we lose another year, that's another year. I mean, you can't even swim on my side of the lake without running through the jungle.
Wow. So I think the urgency of the rollout would be based on the distance you are from the lake, right? Because if someone's in the back of beyond on the middle of a mountain having a septic system, their direct impact to our lakes and waters and streams is going to be less, in theory, than someone who's right on the lake. So I think that urgency will be important based on the distance of your septic system from the body of water.
And how do we know the distance? Because I know there was some other public about wanting to have their septic emptied.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't find it on the drawings or whatever it is that they had, and they asked for a septic
Company or something.
Yeah, company to come, and they refused. And so they were like gonna have to go through the ground and just pretty much like try to figure out where the septic systems are. How do we know this? Like, how do we know where septic systems are located? We don't have that done.
It should be on the plans, but not everybody has it. I mean,
Jim?
However, when the little house, probably just outside the village line, that elderly couple, I think Charlie Orr had to go in there with a metal detector.
And figure out where it was.
Yeah, because he had the metal top to the thing, the top of the septic is metal. And so That seems to be the ticket. So, I don't know septic systems.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that it might be difficult to.
I submit that earlier and urgent, you know.
Well, then let's look, Mark, I'm gonna volunteer you. So let's let Mark and I take that second phase offline, look at Queensberry and Lake George. Maybe we can get it done by end of summer, and then look at an equitable way to roll that out with an eye towards the lake.
Jeanette, most septic lines are cast iron going to the tank. Ed has the equipment to follow that line until it enters the tank, so we can figure that out.
And sometimes they just start at the house and work their way out.
So, is that our responsibility?
Well, but I think we should do that if, you know, somebody can't find their septic tank.
Yeah.
So if Rick has a problem in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what he ended up doing about it.
Right, or has a question, not that he has a problem, but if he has a question about that in the future. So, you know, Mark and I will put it on our agenda to try and get that done in 3 months. If we get it done sooner, all the better. Yes.
Hey, Mark, question, does the town of Lake Pleasant have anyone like you, Jeanette shaking her head, anyone like you that has the knowledge of the pollution aspect?
Unfortunately, hopefully when we enact these laws, we can convince them to do the same.
Right.
We could convince them.
Maybe. That would be our hope.
This teamwork here is essential.
Well, you know, a good example is to look at Lake Desolation. They don't have any laws, and that lake is going downhill pretty fast. So to look at lakes that have no regulations and no care, I mean, LPSA has done a heck of a job, you know, raising awareness, trying to keep things clean, having boat inspections. Yeah, no, it's not enough. There has to be greater measures, because if our lakes go, then all of our communities go.
And just remember, Lake Pleasant owns most of the lake. We need their support going forward.
Because, I mean, we could be the tail wagging the dog at this point, but let's do whatever we can.
Yes.
I think maybe we all go to one of their board meetings and support what's going on.
And raise that concern. Right. Yep. Okay. Does any of the board have any comments or questions, corrections to this law, this proposed law? If not, then may I have a promotion to hold a public meeting at a you were
A motion, not a promotion.
a promotion. I would like a promotion. I picked up on that eyebrow raising. Okay, so although I would like a promotion to Grand Poobah, I will look for a motion to put this law forth as a public hearing on, what's our next date?
And I'll make a motion to do that, and we just need secret review to make it law.
Yes. So I think we would do that after the public hearing. We would do the seeker review.
That's correct.
Since we're in that discussion phase, seeker review, is that something that we can do, Mark, or we would have our law firm do?
Well, that or an engineer. We may be able to get Brendan to do it.
Okay. Then we'll check with Brendan.
Yeah, he's probably much cheaper than a lawyer.
Will that take very long? Because I know we have to file within 21 days after the public hearing, like after it's approved. Right.
No, it shouldn't take very long. When I spoke with our lawyers, they said it should be very straightforward because it's pro-environment and help keeping it clean and things like that. So we'll...
I just have a question. Do we need seeker review before we go to public hearing, just to make sure they approve it?
No, that's the second phase.
Okay,
So the first phase is to have public hearing and approve it contingent on seeker review. So we have to approve the law first, and then we do the seeker review. Does that make sense? Because
the lawyer said,
yeah, because seeker, they won't do a seeker review on something that's non-existent.
okay,
So I'll go back to my motion, looking for a motion for public hearing on this law for July 10th. Jim, second. Rebecca, third. More. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries for the public hearing. And Mark and I will take it offline to get the next phase going. Okay. Back to the glasses. Okay. So that was the septic system. General codes, we are waiting for the approval of the filing of the law with the state. And then there's the septic law that is still outstanding, an update to the septic, the water law.
The sewer law?
The sewer law.
Oh, wait, no, the water law, you're right.
It was one,
Yeah,
okay.
water law.
yeah, I sent that to Ed for his last comment, and by next meeting, we should have that resolved, for approval. And then, it's gotta go to the state for,
So
yeah.
do we need a public hearing for that?
Yes.
yes. Let me talk to Ed, tomorrow, and then I'll let you know.
Okay.
We would have to present
We have to present the changes to the law, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's just minor changes to the law, but Ed will just detail what the minor changes are.
Okay, so we'll do that at the 10th where he's here. You and he can present those changes, and then we would have a public hearing July 24th, and then we should be able to provide everything to general codes and get it out. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Let's see. Peters Oil update. The county is meeting tomorrow in their committee days to determine which way they would like to go forward. It's a process anyway. It can't happen overnight. So the main point is who would do the foreclosure on the property, whether we would support them, which is what our position is, to have the county do it since they do it so often, or whether that would fall to us to foreclose on the property. So we'll find out more. As of tomorrow, the Teamsters, there has been, there's going to be another negotiation meeting. Next week is the next negotiating meeting, so we're on hold for that. The playground. So Rebecca and Jim, anything that we can
But we
propose?
found a site, and we have an idea of the apparatus we would like to consider. And we just actually need some stuff back from Sue. Sue actually has the stuff that we need to submit.
Okay.
So, but Rebecca has one thing, and we do some sensory things. We have a location, and we need to find out the cost of paving that area.
Oh, it would have to be paved within the playground?
Yeah.
How large an area?
25 feet by 30 feet, and it would be the corner that's closest to the pavilion and closest to the tower.
Route 66.
And so it's way.
So it's on the back side of the pavilion? Is that what you're
Yeah,
suggesting?
the back of the pavilion, that corner of the
Where there are
pavilion.
another set of swing sets by
Yeah.
alongside.
It would be to the left, if you're looking.
If I'm looking at the pavilion, playground is on the right. Where are you
The
talking?
far corner of the playground,
Right,
closest to the pavilion and closest to Route 66.
okay.
And it was room there for the adaptive swing, and along behind the pavilion would be the sensory things, so they would not be a distraction to the pavilion. And we managed that out. So it's.
Do you have a map?
No, we don't have me.
I'm pretty sure that, like, if somebody was in a wheelchair, they can come down towards the fire towers on the pavement,
Okay.
come across the pavement,
Okay.
and then they're in the area of
Okay.
that corner.
So
There's
we,
a possibility that we could just do the sliding swing, and they could get to it right from what's already there.
okay, from the back side of the pavilion.
However, sensory portion, which we're waiting to hear back from Sue, they're thinking of putting kind of along the side of the building, so then it would be difficult to get to that part on sand. So the question is, where do you put these sensory things without additional paving?
So we would be paving, it would look like the letter L. With the L, the lower part facing the front where the fire pit is, and the thin part would be right behind the
Okay,
pavilion.
for the next meeting, if you can draw a map. So what we would need for the next meeting is for you to draw a map to have what the equipment is that you're proposing and the cost of that. And if you can ask Roger about how much it would be to pave that area.
Would we ask?
Roger would be able to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roger.
So so these are the back swings here?
The back swings, but it'll be in that corner of the building.
Here, this corner?
So if this is your pavilion, they
Right.
want to put the sensory here. These swings are already in place. And then this glider swing would be right in this area. There's already
so these-
pavement here. You can get to this swing. You can't get to that.
Along the pavilion then?
Along the pavilion.
The long side of the pavilion,
The playground side or the others?
playground side.
There's the option of both. It's hasn't really. You were thinking on the playground side, right?
For the swing,
No,
No,
I'm talking about
sensory.
the
sensory.
sensory
You're
stuff.
talking about like swing. So
Yeah,
you can
drums and
touch
stuff like that, clubs.
Ah,
So we're behind Jim. So if this is the parking lot,
Okay, it would be.
are you talking
Right
back
there, right
here?
there, exactly.
Back here, not on the side.
Exactly.
On the back
The
side.
back
The back side.
Oh, okay, I didn't understand that. I thought you meant the long, you're talking about the short end of it.
So they would be
Okay.
out of.
I haven't seen the sensory and how it can be
So
mounted.
that's just,
So I don't know if it can be on some kind of mount that's already along the pavement.
so this is the parking lot side
Yeah,
and that's the sand side.
yeah.
These are the swings.
Yeah, they're
I
already
see
in place.
something.
The little square would be where the swing is. And then they're talking about putting sensory on the back side of that.
Okay, I get it. That
Okay.
makes sense.
So if we have those pictures and stuff, at least we can say, yes, let's, write a grant for that. But we have to do it unless you can get it to us faster because the submission date is July, the third week of July. So we need
30th?
third week.
Oh, well, it'll be done, yeah.
So like the 21st, but no. I need to give it to Allison Gaddy at Lake George, Lake Champlain to write it up, right? So I need that sooner rather than later.
Right. And we requested it.
Yeah.
From the local.
So is,
Helping and in the graduation weekend.
yeah, no.
Here today looking for it.
Yeah.
A little further because she's got all the prices in the books.
Okay, so if we can have the prices in the books, the prices in the pictures, we can take some photographs and draw them out. We can send that over to Allison to get started on that, and then we can go from there. But she needs it sooner rather than later. And ask Roger about the amount of paving that would be required for that. Right. So it shouldn't be too much paving, but.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We have a request from under new business. Any old business? Any other old business? No.
I just need to check it. Where's that here?
Oh, right here.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
Where'd it go?
Okay. So under new business, we have a request from the Cornell Cooperative Extension Hamilton application to use the Speculator Pavilion, and as a nonprofit, they are asking that the $100 fee be waived. So I just wanted to pull up the email request because there's another interesting component to that. Okay. So for those online, you should be able to see that. This is from Jamila Page. So what they're doing is on July 28th, they are proposing to have an educational program called Wild Edibles Identification. So this is, good for foragers and understanding what's available in our land. And so what they're doing is they'll have anywhere between 10 and 50, I believe, right? Isn't that what we said? 5 to 30, well, I can't even read anymore. 5 to 30 participants. They would have a registration fee of $15 that they would go to cover the presenter of the association. Before they had done it with the public library, and they also want to know if it would be okay to collect several small samples of common plants with the participants while they're on the walk. So white pine needles, chicory flower heads, dandelion leaves. They can come to my house for that. Lamb's ear, pineapple plant, which is generally a lawn weed. So the first thing is to waive the fee since it's a nonprofit. And the second is if we allow them to pick up some of the weeds and pine needles along their walk in Speculator.
Yeah.
I'd say yes.
Okay, so Mark would make a motion to waive the fee and allow them to pick plants along the way.
They help us all the time.
Don't we need to know where they're walking? Because you told me I couldn't do the exercise equipment along the Sacandaga walk. Like how,
Well, the
have
walk,
to be specific.
right, well, if they're along the Sacandaga walk, then that's Lake Pleasant.
Yeah.
So provided that they're picking up things along Speculator, this would be limited to Speculator. I'll write back to her and say if they're doing the Sacandaga walk, they have to contact Lake Pleasant. So this is for.
But they don't charge, Lake Pleasant doesn't charge to use the Sacandaga walk, so it should.
No, it's a matter of them picking plants. It's a matter of them picking plants, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I can't give permission for them to pick plants in Lake Pleasant, but we can give them permission to pick weeds in Speculator.
What do we do? Put a little line out?
I know. Yes. Well, the nature walk is in Lake Pleasant, so if they plan on doing that. So there's a motion on the table to forego the fee and allow them to pick those plants within Speculator. Second, Jim is second. Any comments, questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, so those are the edibles.
Are we liable for what they're eating? Do we need any kind of clause
Oh, I hope not.
with this?
I don't think so. Yeah.
She said, they already provided their insurance.
Yes. So they have insurance for the for the program. Yes. So next up are park signs. So I am looking up your park signs, Mark, to show. Where is it?
And those signs we ordered, Crystal, did you hear anything from the sign company? They should be delivered in a couple of days.
I did, but the tax exempt form wasn't completely filled out, so I have to fill that out tomorrow. Fill out a new one.
So on the screen there, we are updating our park sign rules for the Village of Speculator Park. No swimming off the park. You have to use the public beach. No fires or camping. That's a typo that was corrected. Keep off the rocks. It's a fall hazard. A lot of kids have been using rocks and they disregard our lifeguards. Dogs must be leashed. Dog waste must be removed. The dock is for day use only. basically dock hogs, and some pretty dangerous behavior with motorboats and not snowmobiles, but
Personal watercraft.
personal watercraft. So, and then no water skiing or tubing off the dock, no littering, use the waste receptacles. So they're pretty nice looking signs. These signs will be as you enter the park and down by the waterfront. So we are looking into seeing if we can get some low signs for keep off the rocks. We don't want to ruin the view or anything like that, but we do want to make people aware that they should not be climbing on the rocks. Okay, that's an FYI. The next up is proposed change to park use application. And that would be the definition of a resident. So at the present time, the definition of a resident, we have that has not been updated. A resident includes people living within Speculator and people living within Lake Pleasant. So Lake Pleasant does not contribute taxes or anything to the upkeep of the pavilion, of the park, of the ball field, or anything like that. And so I'd like to propose that we update the park use form to include only residents of the village of Speculator.
Agreed.
Any thoughts about that?
My other question is, I know in order to vote, they have to be here 6 months plus 1 day to kind of be considered a resident to vote in the district? No?
No, they have to claim their property as primary. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so it's a good one.
Yeah, they have to own property. So basically it's someone who owns property in Speculator. Right. So I'd like a motion to update the definition of a resident to include property holders, taxpayers of Speculator.
So moved.
Second? Jim, any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. The form will be updated. Next up is a Speculator Clean Energy Status Update. I'd like to propose that we do energy benchmarking resolution. Let me call that up. Where is it? Benchmarking. Okay, so in this benchmarking, okay, there we go. All right, so establishing energy benchmarking requirements for certain municipalities. So New York State, the poorest performing buildings typically use several times the amount of energy of the highest performing buildings for the exact same building use. So I am happy to say that we have changed over our LEDs. I think we are pretty mindful with the amount of energy that is being used. New York State would like to benchmark how buildings are being used, how energy efficient they are. And so what this resolution does is it allows us to do that. In considering the amount of extra work this would take for the village clerk or the deputy clerk, Crystal is already gathering all this information anyway. And so what happens, it gets forwarded to our ANCA representative, and then she updates the portfolio manager for the system.
How often do you do that? I don't know how often.
Once a year.
No, that's it.
Yeah. It's pretty minimal. So it's once a year. This benchmarking would go towards one of our 4 actions as a village to be a clean energy, be designated as clean energy. And then we would be the first village in Hamilton County and probably the smallest village in the state. But the other thing is that this would mark our 4th action so that we'd be eligible for a $5,000 grant for clean energy, and we could use those funds to do the work required to upgrade the decorative streetlights. So As some of you may notice, a couple of them are not working because of the electrical workings on that, and so those would need to be upgraded, and this would be a way to bring those up to grade and have them shining again for a reasonable amount of money. Any comments or questions about this? Nope. Okay, so all in favor, may I have a motion to pass the resolution establishing energy benchmarking? Thank you, Cindy. Second. Rebecca, any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. So we'll send that off to Nancy Burstein with ANCA. Okay, any other new business?
I just, Mark Curry answered to it 809 about Ned Karen.
Okay. Just 1 second. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and.
It says, this is regarding to the insurance for Teamsters. We have everything we need, or for the insurance. Everything ready for the Medicare. We need tours.
Your current plan.
Your current plan to compare. MVP site has been down for a bit. Other than that, let's schedule a day next week. We can come up and show you what we have. So they, who is that? Just Mark. They'll come up and show us.
So this is reviewing our insurance offerings.
Yes.
So
see if we can get a better rate through
right.
a difference.
So we've looked at the rates for our current employees through a site recommended through Teamsters Insurance, and now we are looking at another group that was referred to us for our retirees and our those who are under the age of 65 and those who are over the age of 65, because the ones who are all retirees, but they're sectioned into two different groups. So those that are under 65 have been included in our employee plan, and those who are over 65 are in a Medicare Advantage type of plan. So we're evaluating the cost of, if we were to go with Teamsters, that would only apply to active members, employees. So that would exclude the few retirees that we have below the age of 65. So we're just trying to put all of our numbers together and see what's good coverage and most cost effective for the village.
While keeping everybody insured.
While keeping everyone insured, yes. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, we'll just have to see it when I
So,
put up the resolution.
Yeah, so we should have some numbers by the next meeting that we can talk about. So hearing no new business, board roundtable. Anything going on? I had a couple of things that we talked about. Beach opening will be June 30th. There will be a beach cleanup. What day was decided? Wednesday? Thursday, okay. So Thursday will be beach cleanup, so the beach will be raked, the chair will be out, the sail will be put up for coverage for the lifeguards. And parade and carnival are on Saturday, so the parade starts at 7. I did speak with DOT earlier this month. There will be no road resurfacing on Saturday at all. So prior to that, they said that they would shut down by 2:00. But with all the traffic and travelers coming in, they agreed that they would not be doing that, which is great. We thank the Hamilton County DOT for that. The carnival starts after the parade, I believe. So we should be set with that. There are 2 additional porta potties, 3 bathrooms down at the firehouse, and overflow. That's a bad choice of words, but there will be additional bathrooms. There will be additional bathrooms available at the beach house. The porta pots are usually put behind the pavilion. So that's something to consider when we're thinking about the sensory. Jim?
I understand.
All right, just looking for that nod.
How many are you gonna put back there?
Well, in this case, 2. I've never seen more than 2.
Plenty of them. Yeah, Maven,
No?
there's not an issue.
Okay, good. Just keeping it in mind. Fireworks will be between 9 and 9:15 when it gets dark. Anyone who would like to pick up firework debris, depending on which way the wind blows, I'll have bags available Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The last thing I would like to bring up are the New York State legislative highlights. So that session has come to an end, and there were a few things that pertain to us, and some things that have not been moved. So one is the Lead Pipe Right to Know Act that was passed. The problem with this is that it requires public water systems to submit to DOH a service line inventory, identifying the location, material composition, and other details of service lines connected to the distribution system. What this is it's actually duplicative reporting requirements that have already been implemented by the EPA, copper and lead rule. So this is just it's exactly the same thing. So now it's just more filing with, not a whole lot of benefit.
But we don't have to create more work.
Well, there is work for filing.
Okay.
Oh, is that, yeah. So we have to do that. Correct. So then there is the expansion of prevailing wage, and this enacts the Roadway Excavation Quality Assurance Act and requires the payment of prevailing wage for construction work that requires a permit to open a street and prohibits the issuance of permits without confirmation of the payment of prevailing wages. So if we have to hire someone to open up the streets to work on a water line or something like that, we would be required to pay prevailing wage and demonstrate that. So those are with contracting. And then there is the State Board of Elections Training Institute. I'm not sure whether you would take advantage of that, or our investigators, or what do we call them? Election officials would take advantage of it. But this would require the State Board of Elections to establish and host an education and training institute, which shall be responsible for the development and implementation of a statewide program where persons become certified poll worker trainers. Each county board of election would be required to enroll trainers in the program to ensure that an adequate contingent of fully trained and certified poll worker trainers are available to meet the training needs of the county. So this is more with the county. We would have to see whether we would have to send our poll workers to that. Excuse me? So is that the same thing? So it wouldn't affect us? I thought they were kind of the same thing for the village. We'll figure it out. So the county should know that. Okay. What did not pass or did not get through the assembly was the short-term rental regulations. So this would create a registration system for short-term rental properties and subject short-term rentals to the collection of sales tax, applicable occupancy. And again, contrary to what was said in Lake Pleasant, it should be noted that municipalities that have a registration system in place would still be able to use that system. So I think during this course of high tourism season, we should be aware of any reports that come in with short-term rentals, if there are any issues with that. And if it's not going to go through the state, then that's maybe something we should consider and get feedback on from Lake Pleasant with their system. The other thing that did not get through the Assembly and the Senate is the issue with firefighter and ambulance worker credit. So in an attempt to address the shortage of volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers in parts of the state, this bill would allow firefighters and ambulance workers to receive both an income tax credit and a locally enacted real property tax exemption. So at this time, we do have the income tax credit available, and we were putting on hold the real property tax until this issue was resolved. So we'll keep an eye on that and decide where to go from there. Okay, any other comments or questions? We'll open it up for final public comment.
I've got a few things.
Who are you?
One,
Who are you? Shorty Hoffman, yes.
They're mostly FYI things, that if you want to adjourn your meeting and I can run them by you quick.
Okay, why don't you give the important ones and we'll take the FYI ones offline.
You know, it might save you some time. One of the things, the trees in the cemetery, I don't know who took the trees down at the museum for Randy, but he's got a crane and everything, and he did a great job. Didn't even drop a limb on any of the buildings, and that's a lot tighter workspace than the cemetery would be. So you can check with Randy who did that job for him. The thing with Niagara back in the 70s, probably those signs was erected. I know once in a while, as a gesture between Dr. Mohawk and the village of Speculator, there were some things done that are possibly that sign with no meter. So how could you have an account if you don't have a meter? So it might.
Well, it was an agreement that was entered into for an estimation and they estimated it incorrectly. So instead of doing 150 kilowatts, they estimated 150 kilowatt hours. So that's been researched, Tori. So that background has been taken care of.
I know there was two things that were hooked up and they were taken care of. And anyway, but the other thing, Ed Winchell, when he was the assessor in the town, him and Vicky Weiss, a lot of their assessment work, if you look at the papers that are in the town office, as far as location of septic tank, you find a lot of that paperwork, probably in the Ed's paperwork. He took a lot of pictures and stuff like that, with, tie off measurements and everything else, so it might save you a lot of time looking for it. And like somebody on the backside of the lake, they said, well, I don't know where my septic tank is. All the town tax assessors and might save some time. The other thing was the use of the park, as far as you said, resident village. Back, I believe, when the pavilion was built, it was a joint thing between the town and the village, I believe. We're back in the 80s. I think both communities were involved in the building of that. So I would check back on the paper and work on that. If you're going to say village residents can use it free, but town can't. And the Point property, when Dr. Trent give that, he bought that and give it to the village, I would read the paperwork on that before I made a decision on it.
Well, at the present time, the village is the one that maintains that property 100% through their tax dollars.
There was an agreement made between Dr. Trent and the village of Speculator, I believe, when he generously donated that property to the village of Speculator. So we made open to the public.
It is open to the public. It is open to the public. There is no discrimination of use. A fee will be charged for non-residents of Speculator. Otherwise, Speculator pays for everything.
Yeah, and the only other thing, I think the handicap playground is great, but behind the pavilion, you got the door, before you go thinking about putting something back there and paving it, check with the sewer plant and find out where the holding tank is for that building.
Yeah, it's okay.
And that possibly be between the back of the building and the
exactly.
area.
You have a door.
You know,
Yeah,
Yep.
there's no holding tank for that. It's just the
A
pump.
grinder, right?
outside.
right, the holding
Yeah.
tank was right.
No, there's not a holding tank, Shorty.
Septic pump.
The holding tank.
There's a septic pump, but no holding tank.
Because of the elevations and, but anyway.
Right.
But yeah, just check and see what's behind it.
Yeah, a good point. Good point, but I do want to make the point that there is no holding tank. Okay?
Thank you, sir, that's FYI.
All right, thank you, Shorty. All right, anything else? Okay,
In this meeting.
all right, thank you. All right, meeting is adjourned.